Hey, 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 I am live. I think I am live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you are doing well. If it's your first time here, hi, hello, great to have you. And if you are returning, hey, family, I see you. I hope you are doing well. So it's time for another reaction to the governing body and the thing that they've been doing lately. Now, I have done the very first one from 2021. And so that was number one. Number two, I skipped past it because I wanted to get to Tony Morris. Tony Morris is an interesting character. Um, he is the guy that was obsessed with tight pants, with man. He had the whole incident with Bottlegate, and actually, this one's a bit shorter. So I wanted to do this one because it's quite late here. So I'm trying to get myself in with a chance of finishing before it's midnight. Um, I went to a wedding this weekend, which is the first sort of proper social gathering since last year. So it was really great. It was really fun, but it just means that the weekend time is really short. But I wanted to get this out. We are in a rhythm. I don't want to break it. In every 2 week rhythm. I'm not going to ramble too much. I just wanted to shout out to the new subscribers that I've had in the last few weeks. Welcome. Great to have you here. I hope you like what you see. Share the videos if you know someone you think will benefit from hearing it, because the whole idea is to see things from a slightly different perspective. As people who have left this group, looking in from the outside, our perspective is it's crazy how much it changes, but topic for another day. Point is, share the video. Okay, so let's get into what Anthony Morris is going to say then. I have no idea what's coming with these ones. I sort of watch it live with you for the first time, and you get in my raw reaction to all of it. So let's jump into it.
For this update,
Okay.
we're going to focus on our all-important disciple-making work.
Oh, not that.
Despite the pandemic, the governing body continues to look for ways to make our ministry even more effective. How? By continuing to build on the direction provided at the 2017 annual meeting.
Wait a minute, I just want to pause. Can anybody shed any light on how much witnessing the governing body actually does? Like, how much of that do they actually do? Because I get a sense that they probably don't do that much. You know, there's this horrible job that they have people doing week in, week out, day in, day out. I don't know how much of that they actually do. I mean, don't want to make personal comments, but just in their state, and they probably say they're very busy, but I'll be curious to know how much of that they actually do. And interesting how in the middle of a pandemic, apparently that was the most important question. How can we keep people busy? How can we keep people promoting our group in the middle of a pandemic? I feel like this is a recurring theme as I go through these updates. The overriding theme is just we're so selfish. What we care about is how we're going to promote our group, how we're going to get ourselves front, right, and center. And it just seems to be a recurring theme. So he started out by saying in the middle of the pandemic, their focus has been how can we get people proselytizing, growing the group more and more. I'm going to try not to talk too much, otherwise I'm going to blow my time. But yeah, that's really struck me so far.
At that meeting, the governing body announced organizational adjustments based on 1 Corinthians 9:26. That verse says, "Therefore, the way I am running is not aimlessly. The way I am aiming my blows is so as not to be striking the air." How do we make our blows count? We focus on what Acts 13:48 mentions, searching for those who are rightly disposed for everlasting.
I'm sorry to jump in there. So two things so far that's come to mind. Do you know, it's only after I left that it sort of struck me how much Bible verses are being taken out of context when they're read. But that's not a big topic for now, but that was just the point. going straight to a verse that's just talking about striking blows and working aimlessly. And there's the taking it out of context in the book that it's in, but also the interpretation. I was having a conversation with someone today because even though I no longer believe what I left is not just the witness faith, but the whole Christianity thing in general. However, my friendship circle is still predominantly Christian. And so I was having this conversation with someone today, and I was just curious to hear how he got to where he's at and all of that. And something that came up was how interesting it is that everyone is supposedly reading this book and coming up with different interpretations, different applications to it, and everybody's convinced that they're absolutely right. So it's not just they're taking it out of context, it's the way they interpret things as well. It's how they try to insert or derive some sort of meaning and definition from the scripture that either has nothing to do with that completely, or it's interpreted a completely different way. So that's the first thing. The second thing is something Lloyd Evans or somewhere else has pointed out recently. The whole idea of people that are rightly disposed. It's like the people that are what's the other word they use? Essentially saying that the people that are going to listen to them, the people that are going to convert to the group, are people who are honest-hearted, right-hearted, rightly disposed. It's like, I don't know how I feel about that, because on the one hand, it's like I feel like there's some sort of connotation of there's something wrong with you if you're not accepting our message, if you're not rightly disposed, you're not honest-hearted enough for you to see what we're trying to tell you. But do they even think about what that means for the whole concept of predestination? How much of that do we control? How much of that do we not? It's a bit interesting to see how they try and marry the two. It was something that I never really asked about, but more and more, it's an interesting way to word things. It's like a very weird version of no true Scotsman fallacy, if you've heard of that. So it's this idea of if you're not convinced, if to sort of apply that to this context, if you're not convinced by what we say, by what we're trying to push on you, then you're not honest-hearted. You're not being honest. It's like, you're being sort of deceptive when you say, no, actually, I'm not convinced by what you're saying. It's yeah, it's kind of a reckless, I think, way to approach things, especially with the consequences that could come with that for people like us who leave. It's like we wouldn't choose or deceptively put ourselves in a position where we'll be losing our families because we just don't want to accept what you say. It's sort of reckless. But that was a very, very long tangent, but I guess that's the point. I'm reacting to what is being said. Let's crack on.
Life. How have we been helped to do that? Consider a few examples from the past year. We reviewed Watchtower study articles that focused on helping new ones progress to baptism.
Calm down, Tony.
And it reminded us to discontinue unproductive studies.
I remember that.
The 2020 Regional Convention Program devoted an entire day to the disciple-making work and to helping Bible students progress to baptism. Who could forget Nina and Jade? Our November campaign included a special effort to provide government officials with information about God's kingdom.
If you're just listening for the first time, wondering why Nina and Jade makes me laugh, they had this entire dramatization that they put together of this fictitious character, Nina and Jade, who were studying. And just for lack of awareness or oversight, or maybe it was deliberate. Who knows? Some people having fun in the writing team. But the way it played out, it was almost like it was there was more to the relationship, and like there was a bit of tension there, a bit of physical tension in the relationship. And for people who would be vehemently against stuff like that, you know, they're very much marriage is one man, one woman sort of thing. And the fact that they didn't see what the way the dramatization was, so it's quite funny. So that's why I had a chuckle. Nina and Jade. Good times. Good times. Just completely went over their heads. This thing has a lot of tension to it. But anyway, that's why I had a laugh.
Goal of reaching even more rightly disposed ones.
There's that word again.
And aren't we excited to use the new Bible study tool, Enjoy Life Forever, which features a more effective teaching style? But 2020 saw another significant effort to make our blows count.
Dear me, Tony.
In June 2020,
more of you.
It was announced that all branches would evaluate their foreign language and indigenous language pre-groups, groups, and congregations. What was the reason for this evaluation? Notice what the governing body conveyed to the elders at that time. In recent years, Jehovah's people have responded to the call to expand their ministry by learning another language in order to reach honest-hearted ones. And publishers should be commended for their self-sacrificing efforts in this regard. Nevertheless, it has been noted that in some cases, pre-groups or groups show little evidence of growth, with few progressive Bible studies and few, if any, progressing to baptism. In harmony with 1 Corinthians 9:26, the governing body wants to be certain that we are making our blows count.
I'm going to pause there because as he was saying that, the thing that was coming up for me is, isn't it interesting that apparently Jehovah is really, really interested in people who just happen to grow up in English-speaking countries or had access to learn the English language. When it comes to people who speak other languages, oh, well, you know, it's not quite as keen enough to put enough resources in there to put the work in, to do what it takes to get those people. You know, never mind the fact that isn't he supposed to know what those people need to convince them? But that was what was coming up for me. This sort of, well, you're not moving quick enough. So there you go, you're out. And somehow the interest of Jehovah seems to be heavily focused on English speaking people. That's very convenient, incredibly convenient.
How were these language groups and congregations evaluated? Notice what happened in the first century when Paul and his companions wanted to expand their ministry. Acts 16, 6-10 explains that they traveled many miles and made concerted efforts to preach in various territories. However, Jehovah, through his Holy Spirit, directed them to the right area. Let's read this at Acts 16:9. And during the night, a vision appeared to Paul. A Macedonian man was standing there, urging him and saying, "Step over into Macedonia and help us." How did they respond? Verse 10 says, "As soon as he had seen the vision, we tried to go into Macedonia, drawing the conclusion that God had summoned us to declare the good news to them." When they discerned Jehovah's direction, the brothers immediately followed the leading of the Holy Spirit. Likewise,
No,
we
you're
follow
not.
the Spirit's
You're
leading.
not gonna do that. No, you're not gonna do that. Are you really good? Oh, it's this spirit directed thing, isn't it? You know how apparently the governing body is not inspired or infallible, but they're spirit directed. Is he really gonna say likewise? Paul allegedly had a vision, like pretty much direct. So how exactly is this direction coming? He is not gonna try and do that, is it? These people are speaking out of both sides of their mouth. You're not inspired, but you're spirit directed. It's the semantics game, isn't it? When you say you're inspired, like in this context, I don't know why I'm doing that, but if you say you're inspired in this context, we're talking about the Holy Spirit, quote unquote. So why are we playing word games? You're not inspired, but you're spirit directed, right? And so you're going to draw a conclusion or try and draw a tape from someone who apparently had a direct vision to you who, how exactly again do you get your direction?
Of course, it's not provided through visions,
No, there we
but
go.
through evidence in the field.
Oh, I see. Evidence in the
The recent
field, right.
evaluation showed that
Porkies.
some foreign language and indigenous language groups and congregations had existed for years and yet had few or no publishers who were dependent on the language. In other cases, the territory was very scattered, so publishers and pioneers had to travel long distances to find someone.
Well, shame
who
on
could speak
Jehovah
the
for not
language.
making it happen. Shame on him.
Despite all of this effort, there were few Bible studies and few interested ones, if any, who attended meetings.
Good
What
for
was
them.
Jehovah's Spirit telling us?
He's not interested in those
It would
people?
be better to use our efforts in other fields.
No, it says he's not interested in them.
Thus, such groups, and congregations were dissolved.
Wow.
Have you been personally impacted by this evaluation?
I'm just glad for the people that didn't fall for it. Good
You're
for
not
them.
alone. For example, as a result of the evaluation in just 16 branch territories, some 4,700 elders, 2,800 ministerial servants, and 11,000 regular pioneers have been made available to serve in other fields. At one time, we may have thought that the largest increase was taking place in foreign language or indigenous language fields. But as we've considered the matter more carefully, it seems that congregations in the main languages of many countries are experiencing the largest numbers of newly baptized disciples.
I can't shake the thought of when he was reeling off those numbers of people that have now been made available to serve in other fields. I wonder what that means. I wonder what that actually meant for the people. Like, did they have to move house? Did they have to change jobs? If they did, was there any sort of support for them? I mean, I have questions. These are the things I want to know, because clearly these are people that are given more time than they really should, because the number that these people should have is 0. So those are the questions I have. These people that are giving of their time, their energy to promote this group, when they were quote unquote made available to other fields, what sort of support did they give the people to do that? But of course, they don't say stuff like that, because who cares? As long as they get promoted, that's all that counts.
So if you're now returning to a congregation in one of the main languages of your country, remember that you are needed there. many congregations are struggling to cover their large territories. In major cities, there may be millions of people to reach, but few publishers and pioneers available to preach. Many pioneers and publishers are finding progressive return visits and Bible studies in these fields.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
And think of how the congregations are being strengthened as so many mature ones join them.
So they moved.
More appointed brothers are now available to help with shepherding.
They've had to move, right?
To deliver meeting parts, and to assist in many other ways. What practical blessings are resulting from this evaluation? Let's hear the thoughts of a few branch committee members.
I bet it's absolutely nothing useful to the people involved.
Thanks to the wise direction of the governing body, the way we accomplish our ministry has improved. More publishers, qualified pioneers, and appointed brothers will be able to help rapidly other congregations and concentrate their efforts in the most productive language fields or fields with a greater potential.
This evaluation has allowed us to assign graduates from the School for Kingdom Evangelizers and special pioneers as well to more productive territories.
Actually, wait, so that's Gary Bro from Pillowgate, which I'm not going to get into. Another hilarious time for this organization with the, again, completely lack of self-awareness and stuff that they put out, and just, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But in the man, I'm not calling these people brothers, the man that spoke before this one as well as this one, what suddenly came up for me is like, this is a business. This is a business, because when you get to a point like, well, let's close the production lines that are not productive enough, that are not giving returns, that is a business. That's what you do in a business. You know, it reminds me of when I was at uni, I had a placement year. And you know, so if you don't know, my background is in pharmacology, so I went to work in a lab for a year, and you have these scientists that have poured years and years into a particular field of research, but when the money people at the top decide, actually, we don't think this is going to be a viable research area, we don't really see a market for it, they close that stuff down, and that's it. This is what that reminds me of. This is a business, guys. This is a property portfolio business. It's a real estate business. It's where can we get the most, because the more members you have donating, contributing, the more resources you have. This is a business. Can you see that? Because if it was a matter of life and death, right, that is guided by allegedly the creator of the universe, where apparently every person matters. They quote scriptures about not a single hair of your head is missing. You know, you don't just leave people behind because they're not moving quick enough. But when it's a business, yeah, you go to what's more productive. And that's what this is. This is a business. If you can't see it, I don't know what else is going to show it. What makes those people in the quote-unquote majority language places, what makes their lives more valuable, where you can pick and choose? This is a business. They're just following the money.
Is that this has energized the ministry of these pioneers. In fact, many of them are conducting progressive Bible studies now.
None of us find adjustments easy, so it's been so encouraging to see how many have been willing to adapt to these changes, in fact, embracing them. In one language field, some brothers were a little hesitant at first, but they were loyal. So, of course, they went along with the changes. Now the circuit overseer tells us that these ones have sent so many expressions of appreciation, thanking them for these loving adjustments.
Many learners have informed us that it has greatly reduced their stress level. This has allowed them now to be in a congregation that they can concentrate more on a productive ministry and take care of their own spirituality as well.
Productive again.
There's one brother who is learning another language, And he was in a congregation, and this changed from being a congregation to a group. And he said it's as if finally someone has just released the pressure valve.
Truly, our branch committee saw Jehovah's Spirit act and is convinced he blessed this evaluation.
What about our pioneers and publishers? Let's hear from some who have experienced these adjustments firsthand.
Everything's called progressive
In the
studies.
congregation where I'm serving now in Portuguese, the territory is very productive. People are so receptive. I had the goal of starting one Bible study when I was in the foreign language group. When the adjustment came, in just a few weeks, I had 5 studies.
We would drive around for hours looking for just a few specific individuals. Now we just preach to people, and if we find foreign language speakers, we can still preach to them too. I have more joy in my ministry because I feel like I'm making good use of my time.
Well, we love being in foreign language, but realistically it takes a lot of time. So we really enjoy having more time to...
I feel like I've seen this face before. The man, I don't know if it's in a talk or in a dramatization. It's interesting how they have the same pool of people. Apparently, of this 8.5 quote unquote million members that they have, they manage to just work. They seem to just have a small group that they work with. I've seen that face before. If anyone else has seen that face, let me know. I can't believe how long this is taking. Anyway, let's crack on.
Prepare for our meeting parts, discuss the points in our application. It's been a really nice blessing.
I personally have really benefited from having the extra time just to spend on cultivating my relationship with Jehovah.
Something really interesting is what one brother said from another group. He said, okay, now I think I understand better the way that Jehovah does math. So instead of having 15 people learn a language to help one person, now just one person needs to learn a language to be able to benefit from entire congregation, 100 brothers or more.
The first concern that I think we all had was for those who depended on the language, that as it's turned out and as they've become part of the congregation, now they have an even bigger family of brothers and sisters who care about them.
So in our small congregation, the attendance to the memorial was usually just the publishers. Now being in this new congregation is very exciting because this year we had
so they did have to
double
move
the amount of the publishers in our congregation for the attendance this year. So that's very encouraging to see.
We feel that now we are putting our time and energy in a territory that is actually productive. And like 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 26 says, we feel like we are making our blows count.
Wow. There's the company
you're
man.
In the same situation as these publishers, what will you do now? Like Paul, we need to be willing to redirect our efforts based on the leadings of God's Spirit. Learning another language may be one way that we can expand our ministry, but it's not the only way. Where's the greatest need for preachers? Where is there evidence of growth? It might be in the field of your primary language. For practical advice on where your efforts and abilities are most needed, speak to your circuit overseer or write to your local branch office. Jehovah's organization is on the move, and it will not be stopped by the pandemic or anything else.
Yeah, it's just going to leave everybody behind, apparently.
Will this recent adjustment in priorities lead to even greater increases? Perhaps. It's too soon to say.
You are just lying straight through your teeth. I don't have the numbers right here, but the record show your numbers are going down, 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 stagnating growth and going down. You can say all you want and it's moving ahead, increased growth. It's not going to make it true. Say all you want.
Receiving positive reports. One branch reported that they've had 10 consecutive peaks in the number of publishers, and another branch said that the number of new regular pioneers and new Bible studies is growing at a pace never seen before.
reminds me of Trump there. The hand.
The governing body
Never
has
before.
every confidence that Jehovah will strengthen each of you so that we can truly make our blows count.
God, keep your blows away.
We love all of you very much.
Why did they do that? That thing
From
is
the
creepy.
world headquarters of Jehovah's
All right,
Witnesses,
Tony. All right.
This is JW Broadcasting.
Oh, dear me. Do you know what? For once, I'm not leaving it feeling devastated, which I guess is something. The last video that I made of this, I left that just really bad vibes. I mean, that is not to say this is great, but Tony with his mannerisms at the end there, at least I guess in this case, the people that are going to be impacted by this are people that are already committed. I mean, if you're willing to up your life and move because these 8 men in New York say, well, there you go, and this is not where the priority is now, move, you are already committed. You've already given a lot. And like I've said, and I'm sure others have said as well, there's a certain point of investment that you give into something. It's like, it's almost cruel for you to realize you've been lied to, because it would be too devastating. Pardon me. And it's almost like you got to think about, is it even worth you finding out that you've been had? So it doesn't make them any less impacted. But, you know, as far as the things that they do go, as far as the sessions that they've held go, you know, this is one of those where, yes, I can tell you're lying. Yes, I can tell you're making stuff up. If what they were saying was actually true, then yes, it would be sad. If their message was actually true, that people's lives depended on this, and the reason they're being left behind, they're not moving quick enough as the people in the majority language speaking, yes, it would be sad if their life depended on it. But I don't think it is. I think the whole group is bogus. So for me, it's no loss at all. You know, fair play to the people who didn't fall for it. People in the other languages, I say good for them. Good for them for seeing through it. And, you know, I don't want to say I wish them well with the new chapter. I just hope more and more people sort of wise up to what this group are, wise up to the fact that the people that you see on your doorstep with the clean cut and being very nice, that is the facade. That is the front shop window. Once you go behind the curtain, it's like a rotten piece of fruit. This stuff that's in there, absolutely disgusting. And the more and more people see that, that's always a win. So they can say whatever they want about the numbers going up, about the chariots speeding up. You know, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And just to that point again, where the only scenario where you be saying, right, this is not productive, we're going to chop it, that's when you're running a business. Yeah, where what matters is the bottom line. What is the bottom line impact? And if you're a business and you say you're business, then that's fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. You got to do what's going to make the business survive. It's when you're claiming to be spokesperson for the creator of the universe, and you're spirit directed and people's lives depend on it, that's when you sound like a joke. That's when you sound like a joke, when you're deciding, right, you're not moving quick enough, you're not productive, let's move. Let's focus somewhere else. Anyway, I feel like I'm repeating myself there, but those were my thoughts on this one, Anthony Morris. He sounded pretty sober today, although he did get a bit excited towards the end with the big hand gestures, and it's like trying to project, like, just calm down. Yes, we know you're sober today. You don't need to overdo it. It's like he's overcompensating for the times where he's slurring his words and all of that. But no, he is awake today. I'm gonna leave that there. Let me know your thoughts. Was there something else that you noticed that I missed? I feel like I spoke a lot at some point. At some point, I didn't have a lot to say. But put your comments below. Let me know what else you got that I may have missed from this as well. Subscribe, like I said at the start, and give the video a thumbs up if you like these. I think I will run through these. I don't actually know how often they do them. If they're monthly. This seem to be. So we'll see how much of them we can get through, and then we'll go on to something else. Okay. Have a fantastic week ahead, because it's already past midnight now. So have a great Monday. Happy new month. It's August, which is just absolutely crazy. But look after yourselves. Let's hang in there, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Take care. Bye.